cage. Lock yourself in.
Number one daughter, you visited me in the cage.
What are you doing in the cage, Dad?
There's a reason why scientists build cosmic radiation detectors underground. Such a tiny amount of information gets through down here that nonsense sticks out like Pinocchio's nose.
Well, when I was a kid and I was growing up in Sydney, my eye would go straight to Centre Point. It was the tallest building in the city, a skyscraper, the Jewel Crown, a landmark. Today it's just a dot. Developers have filled the blanks and the city has spread, and now every shopping centre is 5 stories tall.
In Brisbane, they bulldozed land. They burned the Whiskey A Go-Go. Landmarks, the cultural heritage of a settler culture, destroying everything in its path.
When I lived in West End, we squeezed 5 people into 3 bedrooms. The floors were slanted, but not as crooked as the crooks who knocked it down to build apartments. The Belvedere house stood grand and empty, except for the squatters and us when it was late and we had nowhere to be in the morning. Vines grew alongside the resplendent fireplace like they were meant to be there. And then they set it on fire because it was the last puzzle piece to the block.
And what about Pacific City, the proposed city at the southern end of Moreton Bay, halfway between the Gold Coast and Brisbane, with bridges and marinas spilling onto the islands, concrete covering the Ramsar-listed wetlands?
Rising from the cane fields around Norwell, a master-planned megacity with tens of thousands of residents, looking something like this.
Well, imagine that, the Gold Coast extending all the way to Toondah Harbour. Now there's a sad story, that one. The Walker family donated $250,000 to the Federal Liberal Party in 2017.
I was stuck in traffic the other day, and as I inched down the road, I caught sight of the traffic controller, people in high vis and a truck backing into the driveway. So I figured they were just there to fix the road from the rain, or maybe a tree had fallen. And then as I grew closer, no, they were building a skyscraper over a skate park that a few teenagers had built together. The teenagers didn't have their friends on the road in high vis and holding stop signs.
I know. The government gives away land and assets to developers. They hang the man and flog the woman who steals the goose from off the common. They let the common criminal loose who steals the common from the goose.
Goose? They wouldn't stop for a goose. They don't even stop for a person.
Despite centuries of railing against developers, occasionally you have to have a sneaking admiration for the sheer audacity of these developers.
Oh, the audacity.
Well, I was thinking of the Wagner family in Wellcamp Airport. Old man Wagner used a law that allows a farmer to build an airstrip on their own land without a permit. When the then Premier Campbell Newman found out it was an international airport, not a cricket pitch for landing the family Cessna on, he said, "Stop right now, thank you very much. You have to pay $1 squillion and buy me lunch."
We need somebody with a human touch.
Old man Wagner waved the official paperwork under his nose and said, "Well, the law says I can. We'll see about that," says the Premier. "I'll change the law." And the race was on. They built an international airport in less than 20 months. It's the only privately funded airport in Australia. The Wellcamp Airport has a 4,000 square metre international fresh food trading centre with scheduled weekly international flights and an unused quarantine centre that costs the Queensland taxpayer $200 million. Interesting yarn.
Property developers are now prohibited from donating to political parties in Queensland, the ACT and New South Wales. The move was opposed by Conservative MPs in a court case known as the Australian Institute for Progress versus the Queensland Electoral Commission. The APE lost and the QUEC won, and now sneakier shenanigans are required.
The landscape from Bow Desert to Caboolture, Ferny Grove to Pimpama is covered with houses that rely totally on air conditioning for heating and cooling and on private cars for transport. The last operating farms are disappearing from the Redlands.
These housing estates are advertised using slogans like, "Your future has arrived," "Let your life fall into place," and they have pictures of kids catching tadpoles in creeks, and they have names like Froggy Hollow, fulfilling the 9th law of real estate. Your housing estate will be named after the feature it destroyed.
I've learned a lot down here in the cage. I used to think that manifestation was a load of old cobblers, and then last week I said, See if you can find your way down here, sweet ears. Drop in and ogle us for a while. Who knows, I could convince El Brutus the screw to swap you in and I out. That might be fun. Think about it. And you thought about it, and here you are, in the cave.